Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Pirino, along with Tammy, Bruce, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Well, you're looking live at Fox Square here in Midtown Manhattan, home of America's election headquarters. We're debuting this brand new set on the special midterm edition of The Five.
All right, so you guys look like you're bundled up. It's 55 degrees out here. I just want the audience to know, only 55 degrees. Juan's wearing a scarf. Greg has double layers, and I think you have leg warmers on. Is that correct?
This is an electric blanket.
It's 55 degrees, America.
Yeah, you look.
This is what's happening in New York.
You look like you're ready for springtime.
Yeah. I'm ready, Juan. I'm ready. This is not hot.
Jesse Waters runs hot. I think that's clear now.
No, you know what Jesse's wearing? He's wearing a latex bodysuit under the suit.
Yeah, you walked in on me in the bathroom, Greg. I was supposed to say between
always
us.
accidentally.
You also know that Jesse really wanted to wear that blue suit, so he was like, I'm not going to put a coat over my costume.
Listen.
You know what's great, though, about being out here? I got a great view of the Gap.
Oh, that's
I
cool,
can see what people are,
You never know what you're going to need to buy right here in the middle of the show.
And there's already a great crowd out there.
Yeah.
Fabulous stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have lots to get to, but first... Fox News alert with the highly anticipated midterm elections just 2 days away. President Trump is continuing his furious campaign schedule. The president is wrapping up a rally right now in Georgia before heading to Tennessee later tonight. Here are some of the highlights from just a few minutes ago.
Republicans produce jobs. Democrats produce mobs. You've heard that. You've seen it. You've seen it. You've seen it. Antifa. They take the helmet off. And they take the armbands, and you see these little arms, If the radical resistance, and that's what they are, radical resistance, takes power, they will move immediately to reverse America's progress and to eradicate all of the gains that we've made. You want more caravans and you want more crime, vote Democrat. It's very simple. If you want strong borders and safe communities, vote Republican.
All right, Greg, I was thinking earlier today, President Trump led in 2016 on a law and order and economic program, and that's really what this midterm has turned into at the end, too.
Well, here's 2 quick points. Of all the people campaigning on both sides, the person who is least fatigued is Orange Superman.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I didn't notice that until I saw President Obama out there and Joe Biden, who they looked winded after just a few appearances. But in terms of energy, they are solar and he's nuclear. He's like the road runner and everybody else is Eeyore. I wish I had 10% of this energy. Having said that, I think that the problem with the law and order kind of stance is that it can be portrayed as fear-mongering. The problem is it looks like fear-mongering because what you want is a process, and the opposite of process is chaos. So it is a natural inclination to be fearful of chaos. So I think the proper framing of what Trump is doing is that we are a party of process, due process, law and order. And if you think that's fear-mongering, then you're sadly mistaken.
The other part of that, Jesse, though, is the economy. We talked about the strong economic numbers that came out on Friday. Even in the polls today, some of the last polls that come out right before the election, 65% of people saying that this is a good economy. I don't know what the rest of the people are thinking. The strong economy, though, has not shown up in the polls heretofore. However, do you think it will show up as a reason people vote on Election Day?
I do. The economy is, I think, the second biggest issue for most voters. And you can tell the president's extremely excited. You know when he's excited and feeling good when he's talking about skinny-armed Antifa. And he was also reminiscing about when he was running in the primary against Republicans. He was always on the center of the stage. You can tell he's in a really good mood. It looks like, as you were talking about, the polls have really tightened. And even the prognosticators are starting to hedge. If you look at the ABC News Washington Post poll, the congressional generic ballot, that's shrunk from 14 to 11 and now down to 7. And if you look at the other two ones, they have it at 7 and they have it at 5. And if you plug those numbers into historical predictors, that does not translate into a Democratic victory. That translates into 15 seats to 22 seat pickup, not enough to make it happen. Right now, the Republicans are favored by 10 and 11 points on the economy and on border security, favored by 5 on taxes. Where they're really looking bad is healthcare. They're down 15 points on healthcare. That's their fault. They botched repeal and replace. They're also in trouble because, everybody retired. They thought this was going to be a landslide blue wave victory last year, and Trump wasn't looking good. If all these guys hadn't retired, I would have said the Republicans are looking at a lock right now. And Nate Silver, he's now starting to hedge. He's said before 4 and 5 chances the Democrats take the House. Now, this is a direct quote, extremely possible that Republicans keep the House, and quote, polls can be wrong. So anything could happen on Tuesday. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll make my prediction on Tuesday, and you can take that to the bank.
At the end of when we call the election.
Yeah, that's right, after Tuesday night.
Yeah, that'll be good. Juan, is one of the concerns for Democrats if they have really high expectations they might not be able to meet?
No, I think you want to get past overconfidence, and you want to make sure that people get out to vote. I mean, what you're really talking about here, Dana, is turnout, and everybody wants turnout. And what we've already seen in terms of early voting is high turnout. And especially
but I just mentioned in Texas, 4 million people have already voted.
Correct. And especially among young people across the country, high levels of engagement. So you can, view it in terms of like Texas you were discussing, where you see a higher percentage of Republicans than Democrats in that early turnout. But in other states, given the high level of youthful enthusiasm, you're seeing more Democrats turn out than Republicans. In terms of the issues, I think what you're seeing in terms of the advertising, and we're seeing a lot of ads this weekend, is again the president doubling down on the fair issue, the crime issue, making sort of MS-13 into the new Willie Horton or bad guy that's coming to get you and your family. That intended to stir his base, but it's not among the top issues right now. Healthcare remains overwhelmingly the top issue.
Yep.
The number 2 issue is the economy. Number 3. And I think this is one that really touches me, is that people are concerned about the level of division, the kind of
that was
hateful
number
rhetoric.
3 in that poll this
Yeah,
morning.
and what you see is like when the president went to Pittsburgh, Rabbi Meyer, when he was meeting with him, he said this at the Shabbat service yesterday in Pittsburgh. He said, I said to the president that hate speech leads to hate action, and what took place in this sanctuary. So I think lots of Americans are concerned about the poor quality of discourse and the kind of hatefulness we're seeing in the country at the moment.
Right. Well, and that was actually both sides were worried about that. Tammy, let me go to you about that. Some of these Senate races, though, are tied. Like the one in Missouri, President Trump is going to end his final campaign rally of this midterm election on Monday night at 9 p.m. in Missouri. Do you think that would be enough to tip this into Josh Hawley's favor?
Well, what the president's doing is what Newt Gingrich did in '94. He's trying to nationalize this race. This is what will make the Republicans have a better day. So him going to every single one of these states, he himself nationalizes it. Newt Gingrich brought together with Contract for America. Obama did it with Obamacare. Did not do well for him. The president himself is the nationalizer, but it's not his rhetoric, regardless of even how tight a state is or not. His rhetoric is not about fear-mongering. He's reflecting what the American voter already feels. As an example, 68% of likely voters believe that illegal immigration is a major problem. That was in August. 70% say stricter enforcement of immigration laws is necessary. That was June in a Harvard-Harris poll. So the president is reflecting back what American people already care about in wanting to make sure their lives are safer. It's not that you're afraid. It's that you notice what's gone wrong and you want to fix it. So the president's presence, we will find, will make a huge difference. And of course, that matters. Florida has mattered a great deal, of course. That's effectively tied, Nelson and Scott. So we're going to find out how it works. And I think that the Democrats are making a mistake in thinking that this new enthusiasm only belongs to them. They thought they had that in 2016 with Hillary, and they were mistaken.
All right, yes.
I do think, because we're talking about fear-mongering, that the other side is getting a huge free pass on this. When I've seen ads that have said that Republicans, and this is going, but let's face it, for decades now, Republicans have been accused of destroying the environment, going after Social Security, taking your health care. Now it's enslaving women and putting children in cages. That's the new thing, Handmaid's Tale, setting up camps reminiscent of a very grim past. These are things, and also, let's not forget, the Democrats pioneered the negative ad with the Daisy ad, the nuclear winter against Goldwater. So I think that, saying that the fear-mongering is on one side, it's a little bit of a stretch, Juan.
Let's just go back to the current thing. I'll leave Goldwater to you in 64. But
it's interesting to me that the president chose immigration as the focus because the economy wasn't working for him. And in this latest poll, what we see is among all voters, 47 to 42, they prefer Democrats to handle
Well,
immigration.
that's the other problem.
there's a wide variety of I'm going to have to go here. There's a wide variety of potential outcomes on Tuesday night. We're going to be here at Fox Square to bring it all to you. Next, President Trump with a new warning about the economy if Democrats take control of Congress. We'll have that for you on the 5.